When I first arrived in the Philippines, I thought my watch was broken. Not because it stopped ticking, but because time here seemed to move according to a completely different agreement with reality. Back home in America, time is sharp. It cuts. It schedules your life into neat little squares, and if you show up late, even by 5 minutes, you feel like you've committed a minor crime. Apologies are expected. Explanations are demanded. Eyebrows raise, silence becomes loud. In the Philippines, I learned very quickly that being late doesn't carry the same emotional weight. In fact, sometimes it doesn't carry any weight at all. The first time it happened, I was confused, then annoyed, then oddly embarrassed for feeling annoyed. I had been invited to a birthday celebration in a small town outside the city. The invitation said 3 p.m., wanting to be respectful. I arrived at exactly 2:58 p.m., standing outside the house with a gift in my hand and that familiar American anxiety bubbling in my chest. The gate was closed. The house was quiet. No music, no chatter, no smell of food. I knocked gently. No answer. I checked my phone. Still early. I waited. At 3:10 p.m., someone finally opened the door. She smiled brightly, like she had all the time in the world, and said, "Ay, ang aga mo." You're so early. Inside, there were no guests, no balloons, no cake. Someone was still chopping onions in the kitchen. A kid was asleep on the couch. The celebrant herself was still in the shower. My brain short-circuited. Back home, this would be chaos. This would be rude. This would be unacceptable. But here, nobody was rushing. Nobody was stressed. Nobody looked embarrassed. They offered me coffee. They asked how my day was. They laughed. The party officially started around 5:30 p.m. No one apologized. No one complained. Everyone was happy. At first, I assumed this was just a one-time thing. A rural thing. A birthday thing. But then it happened again, and again, and again. Meets that started an hour late. Dinners that began when the food was ready, not when the clock said so. Friends who said, "I'm on the way," while still drying their hair. Contractors who promised 9 a.m. and arrived at noon with a smile and a story. And yet, this is the part that shocked me. Nobody was angry. Not fake calm. Not passive-aggressive calm. Real calm. I kept waiting for the tension, for the sighs, for the irritation to leak into voices, but never came. One afternoon, I finally asked. I was sitting on a plastic chair under a mango tree with a local friend, watching people slowly arrive for a community meeting that was supposed to start at 1 p.m. It was already 2:15 p.m. Kids were running around. Someone was grilling fish. People were chatting like nothing was wrong. I asked her, half joking, half exasperated, "Doesn't anyone care that this is late?" She looked at me, genuinely puzzled. "Late for what?" she asked. That question stayed with me. Late for what, exactly? In America, lateness feels like disrespect. It feels like someone is saying your time doesn't matter. But in the Philippines, I began to understand that time isn't seen as something you own and protect. It's something you move through together. Here, people don't arrange life around the clock. They arrange the clock around life. If traffic is bad, it's bad. If a neighbor needs help, you stop. If rain starts pouring, plans adjust. If someone shows up late, it usually means something happened, and that something is understood without explanation. Filipinos don't see lateness as a moral failure. They see it as reality. One evening, I was waiting for a friend at a small roadside cafe. She said she'd be there at 6 p.m. At 6:40, she wasn't there yet. I was ready internally to feel annoyed. My American instincts were warming up. When she arrived at 7:10 p.m., slightly out of breath, she didn't rush into an apology. She simply said, "Sorry, I passed by my aunt's house." She wasn't feeling well. That was it. No drama. No justification. No defensive tone. And suddenly, my annoyance felt ridiculous. Of course she stopped. Of course she stayed. Of course that mattered more than coffee. In the Philippines, relationships outrank schedules. Always. Time bends for people here, not the other way around. That doesn't mean Filipinos don't value time. They do, but they value harmony more. They value not making someone feel bad. They value patience. They value emotional peace over efficiency. Anger, especially public anger, is heavy. It disrupts the flow. It embarrasses everyone involved. So instead of asking, "Why are you late?" people ask, "Did you eat?" or "Are you okay?" One day, I saw this play out in a way I'll never forget. A jeepney was supposed to leave when it was full. It was already full, but the driver waited. 5 minutes passed, then 10, then 15. A passenger finally asked why we weren't moving. The driver smiled and said, "Me gente pa." I'm still waiting for someone. Nobody argued. Nobody shouted. When the last passenger finally arrived, an elderly woman struggling with her bags, the driver helped her in, and everyone made space. We left immediately after. Not one person complained. That moment rewired something in me. In America, we would have been furious, inconvenienced, vocal. But here, the delay had a face, a reason, a human being. Filipinos don't get angry about lateness because anger doesn't solve the cause. It only creates another problem. There's also an unspoken understanding that everyone is trying their best with what they have. Traffic is unpredictable. Transportation is unreliable. Life throws curveballs daily. Why waste energy being mad at something everyone experiences? Over time, I noticed that even when Filipinos do feel frustrated, they rarely express it through anger. They joke, they tease, they shrug. They say ganun talaga. That's just how it is. That phrase carries so much weight here. It doesn't mean people don't care. It means they've learned to accept. Another thing I learned is that being late often doesn't mean being absent. Filipinos show up. They just show up when they can. In American culture, being on time is a sign of respect. In Filipino culture, showing up at all, especially consistently, is respect. I once asked a group of friends why invitations always had such early start times when everyone knew the event would begin hours later. They laughed. If we put the real time, one said, nobody would come. It wasn't manipulation. It was accommodation. A system built on flexibility instead of enforcement. Even businesses reflect this mindset. Deadlines stretch. Meetings drift. Conversations matter more than agendas. As someone who grew up racing the clock, this was uncomfortable at first. I felt out of control. I felt inefficient. I felt like time was slipping through my fingers. But slowly, something unexpected happened. I started breathing easier. I stopped checking my watch every 5 minutes. I stopped feeling personally attacked by delays. I stopped interpreting lateness as disrespect. I started listening more, talking more, waiting more. And in the waiting, I noticed things I never had before. The way strangers strike up conversations while waiting. The way laughter fills gaps that silence would occupy elsewhere. The way patience becomes communal. Waiting here is rarely lonely. That's why nobody gets angry, because waiting isn't wasted. It's shared. Filipinos are late? Yes. But they are present. When they arrive fully. They don't rush you. They don't glance at their phones constantly. They don't treat time with you as something to get through. They stay. They sit. They talk. They eat. They laugh. In America, punctuality often means efficiency. In the Philippines, flexibility means humanity. Neither is perfect. Neither is wrong. But after living here, I understand why anger doesn't fit into the Filipino relationship with time. Anger assumes control. Filipinos have learned to live without the illusion of it. They accept that life happens, that people matter. That stress doesn't make the clock move faster. So they wait, and they smile. And somehow, everything still gets done, just not on your watch. On theirs.